Lesson 5, December 29th, 2024. Part 2, pages 49 to 50a. A model for prayer. Reign to be manifested in the world. This has an immediate dimension in everyday life and a future eschatological, death, judgment, final destiny of souls, dimension when God will establish his kingdom at the restoration of all things. In this verse, the KJV includes the phrases, which art in heaven, and thy will be done, as in heaven, so in earth, but NLT does not. This is because some ancient manuscripts of Luke include these phrases, while others do not. Most scholars think that the manuscripts that add these phrases did so because they are included in Matthew's version, 6:9-10, so the scribes wanted to harmonize the two passages. 3. Give us this day our daily bread. The bread could be anything necessary for the sustenance of physical life, or the provision for human need. The Greek word epiousios, apiosos, translated as daily, is difficult to convey because the word has no other known usage. Its only usage in the New Testament is found in Matthew 6 verse 11 and Luke 11 verse 3. Basically, it could have two meanings. The traditional one related to time is translated as daily. In this case, it portrays a total dependence on God. The example of the rich fool fits the situation where we are no longer dependent on God, but ourselves. He said, "You have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy. Eat, drink, and be merry." From Luke 12 verse 19, NLT. The word also recalls Jesus' warning to let tomorrow worry about itself, Matthew 6 verse 34, NLT. Others, however, conceived epiousios in terms of measure or quantity, and therefore assume that it speaks of the appropriate amount for the individual, like in the case of the manna. Both conceptions are important because even in the case of the manna, God wanted to teach the people of Israel to depend on him. The leftovers from the day before went rotten apart from the reserve for the Sabbath, Exodus 16 verses 15 to 24. 4. And forgive us our sins, for we also forgive everyone that is indebted to us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. The word for forgive here is aphemi, Greek aphiemi, and it is composed of two words, apo, apioi, meaning from, and hemi, agme, meaning to send. It therefore means to send forth or send away. When used for debts, it means a complete cancellation, and when used for sins, it means the remission of punishment due to sinful conduct. The clause on forgiveness in the context of this prayer does not suggest that God's forgiveness depends on human activity as we may suppose. We should be mindful as Christians that our salvation is not dependent on our good deeds. But for our prayers to be answered, we need to be cleansed from our sins, because they might be a barrier to God hearing our prayer, Isaiah 59 verses 1 to 2. The context probably suggests therefore that we forgive our offenders so that God will not hold our sins against us and generate a barrier to the answer. The Greek word for temptation is pyrasmos, parasemos. It also means trial or test. The petition, lead us not into temptation, is not a suggestion that God tempts his people into sin, for James clearly crushes this conception. God is never tempted to do wrong, and he never tempts anyone else either, from 1:14, NLT. The source of our temptation is our own desires, v.14. Marshall suggests that to enter into temptation does not mean to be tempted, but rather to succumb to temptation, 461 to 462. Keener also, on the basis of other ancient Jewish prayers, suggests a similar reading, let us not sin when we are tested. This fits with 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13, which states that when we are tempted, God in his faithfulness will show us a way out, NLT. Question 1. What was Jesus doing before his disciples asked him to teach them how to pray, Luke 11 verse 1? Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for part 3. And to God be the glory.